everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the County Seat. Once again, County Seat is going to take a look at an individual county and profile the county from head to toe, from history to future. This week, we are focusing on Duchesne County. Let's start with a little bit of the history.
Duchesne County is a place that thrives because of the people who love to live, work, and recreate here. Even in its early days, the people are what made it special. The history of Duchesne County is unique in many ways. For starters, unlike many of the early settlements across Utah, it was not organized by Brigham Young or the LDS Church. The earliest settlers that came to what would become Duchesne County came because of the offer of 160 acres under the Federal Homestead Act. Those enterprising people lived off the land for 5 years, made improvements, and paid $1.25 per acre to earn the title to their homesteads. That same enterprising attitude that brought those brave men and women to Duchesne County continues on in the people of the county today. The people of Duchesne County are always striving to offer the best of the best to those around them. The county isn't too far from Salt Lake City and the Wasatch Front, but even so, the county prides itself on being able to serve its community just as well, or even better. Take, for instance, the excellent hospital network available in the area. With a few basic exceptions, Uinta Basin Healthcare, which is based in Roosevelt, can handle almost any type of medical care.
Our goal has always been, how do we keep people close to home? And so we really have had a huge focus on both experience and on technology. And our goal is to bring people into our facility, allow them to receive all the healthcare services they might need, and do it in a way that feels like you're in a place that's more like home. From our history, the hospital was really created out of a vision of our local community members. They fundraised for years to be able to build the first hospital in our community, and then raised funds for another 2 years to be able to get the equipment they needed to be able to establish the hospital. So from the very early stages of our existence as an organization, it's had a huge amount of community support. We have friends, we have neighbors, community members that are caring for their community members. And most of those people, because we are a small community, we know them. And we believe that because of that, we can provide a different feel and a different focus to the patients that come to see us.
But even when the work is beyond the capabilities of the hospital, thanks to high-speed internet, help is just a video call away.
A hospital here, Uinta Basin Medical Center here in Roosevelt, can connect to the University of Utah as they're diagnosing a specific patient and leverage a high-speed connection to diagnose an issue that is very critical.
That same internet is available to all of Duchesne County's residents. Strata works tirelessly to connect more and more homes and businesses to its fiber optic network.
The internet is critical to my job. I mean, I work from home, and really it's the main tool that I use to communicate with my customers, with other employees that I'm working with, to hold phone calls and video conferences, and having a good solid internet connection is absolutely vital to the work that I do.
Many people like Justin are moving to Duchesne County to work and live because of these conditions. But just as important is the great community it provides to live in.
I grew up in kind of a small town that was getting bigger and bigger. I was looking for a good place to raise my kids, kind of a smaller, more comfortable town, and this fit the bill.
It's much easier to know your neighbors, to have a great place to raise your kids, and if you like outdoor recreation, if you like that kind of lifestyle, a rural community is a great choice.
And even if you're coming in just to visit and not live, Duchesne County has some great places.
You're basically there in 20 minutes to where you can hike and ride horses and play and hunt and fish pretty much endlessly.
We managed to be able to get up to the upper Stillwater Dam as the dam was overflowing. It's a gigantic man-made waterfall, and you're able to get right up next to it.
For the County Seat, I'm Malia Stringham.
Well, we now have looked at the history of Duchesne County. We've looked at some of the accomplishments they've made. What kind of impact does that actually make on their daily life? That will be where we take up the conversation as we come back and visit with the county commissioners to Duchesne County right after this commercial break. You're watching the County Seat.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah Valley? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
Crisp, colorful, a world in transition. You don't have to travel the back roads of Maine to explore autumn in all of its glory. Beaver County offers fall in unique splendor, with drives along forgotten canyons and hikes through meadows exploding with vibrant hues of red and yellow. Hit the road with your family and discover a side of Beaver County you never knew you were missing. Autumn is fleeting, so don't hesitate. Beaver County, it's time to experience the real Utah.
ATV? Check. Four-wheel driving? Check. Bouldering? Check. Mountain biking? Check. Hiking? Check. River rafting? Check. Adventure is about more than just crossing activities off of a list, but hey, if you can find a place that gives you everything you're looking for, all the better. In Emery County, you'll find the San Rafael swell, trails, lakes, and the small-town hospitality you're looking for. San Rafael Country, in the heart of Utah. Visit us and check something off your list.
All local products have a story of magical places, real people, and delicious recipes spanning generations. So go ahead and discover flavors you've never tasted and friends you never knew you had. Utah's own Discover Local Food.
Welcome back to County Seat. We are profiling Duchesne County for our entire show today to talk about their accomplishments, their history, their past, and their future. Joining us for the panel discussion, the commissioners of Duchesne County, Greg Todd, welcome.
Thank you.
Ron Winterton.
Thank you.
And Ken Burdick. Is this the way you guys sit when you're in commission meeting?
No. Opposite.
Opposite. Okay. I didn't know if you actually had a set place.
Odd man out always is in the center.
I thought that was the commission chair.
I am.
That's the odd man out. Thank you for taking the time to join us here in the studio. In the story, we covered a lot of things that really set Duchesne County apart from other counties right now. One of them is obviously the fact that you are one of the pioneers in fiber optic to get your internet stuff up to speed or to snuff or past it. I mean, I can't even get the kind of internet here on the Wasatch Front that you've got yet. So I'd like to know a little bit about how that has impacted the county. How much change has that made for how people live or conduct business in Duchesne County?
Why don't you give the example?
Well, we had an example of, I was working for a company that wanted to move from the Wasatch, or from Roosevelt to the Wasatch Front. The owners of the company were out of Washington, or out of New York. New York said, let's move to the big city. They moved to the big city and forgot that they don't have internet here when they moved here several years ago. It took a year for the internet, or the fiber optic, to come to their office here in Salt Lake City, which we had for years in Roosevelt.
Nobody reminded them of that. I mean, does it make it, you guys all do things other than serve, for the county. Has it made a difference in your business to have that kind of speed and access?
Well, we take it for granted because we've had it for so long. Yeah. Whether you're farming, checking your irrigation pivots or anything like that, we have it instantly there. And so we've just become accustomed, and you don't realize it till you come out here that, oh wait, I'm waiting for my phone to.
The other thing in the story that really impressed me is your healthcare system and how far the Uinta Basin has developed healthcare. How did you guys get a leg up on that?
Ironically, I'm on the hospital board and have been for about 8-9 years, and it's very interesting to see how it developed. Some forefront thinking, opportunities. I mean, there's 25, 26 doctors that are there, and it's just a great opportunity for people to recognize that there's a good healthcare system in eastern Utah.
So obviously Duchesne and Uinta County are fueled by Their economies are fueled by fuel, basically,
Right.
or have been. And did that play a big part in being able to get your healthcare system and the facilities in place?
I thought very significantly. Young families, we have three doctors that deliver babies. So that's a big factor.
It's a really big factor. And then the other thing is, I was talking to one of the doctors too, and he said the thing about this hospital, doctors love it because it's not the big hospital. It's a small, privately owned almost. You know, it's not privately owned, but it's like that. And they get that feeling of that where they enjoy it. And they're not just a number, they're actually somebody there, and they enjoy that.
Kind of on a broader note, I think sometimes people forget that if they live in Duchesne or Roosevelt, you know, we have a tendency to think of Duchesne County in terms of US 40. And there are parts of US 40 that aren't the prettiest parts of the county. But just to the north of town, you guys have got some spectacular scenery. Does that help draw people in to work in hospitals and business?
The quality of life outside of work, I mean, you can be to the high Uintas in 20 minutes from town. You can enjoy the high lakes, the fishing, just going up and camping. It's really accessible and close. And whether you go to the Stillwater Dam, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away from Roosevelt, but it's spectacular. It leads into the high Uinta wilderness area. So yeah, quality of life, I think, attracts a lot of those that they can perform their work and then enjoy outdoors.
So a lot of people that have not made their way up there don't realize that it's not just like a Bureau of Reclamation water site either there or at Moon Lake, but actually there are campgrounds and facilities and resorts and things that surround those areas, and lots of lodges. Does that really help draw? When you guys go out to pitch businesses to come to the county, do you drop that card on them?
You know, to some that's very appealing to have a destination resort. They also like the quietness and being alone, and these resorts offer that. You can go out and have a cabin by yourself, or you can be in the lodge. There's a big one up in Tabiona. And so, yeah, you can be away from the city and yet come back to the internet. You got everything right there.
Cell phone service is good, most places.
Clear up, even up?
Well, when you get clear up in them canyons, it's not, but most of the way up there it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. You can go snowmobiling and have it.
So I wanted to also touch just briefly, well, we'll save that for the next break. We're watching the county seat. We've got really engaged in this conversation about the benefits of the county. We're going to come back and talk about some of the challenges that they're looking forward to, or not looking forward to, but have to deal with, and that will be our next topic on the county seat. We'll be right back.
There is a place where looking out means looking in, where an impression lasting only a few seconds will be imprinted on a life forever, where courage is forged and innocence rediscovered, where remembering is rewarding and forgetting unforgettable. There is a place where truth is felt and where seeing is believing. There is a place.
Look south to adventure. Look south to beauty. Look south to San Juan County. Out here, the road goes on forever, and what you'll find will change how you see the world. Climb on your OHV and discover forgotten landscapes and vistas that challenge the imagination. From Blanding and Monticello to the cliff faces of Monument Valley, we're open and ready for you to explore. San Juan County, Utah's Canyon Country.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking with the Duchesne County Commissioners in a show that is highlighting Duchesne County, and we've talked about the history, the status, some of the benefits of the county, but there are challenges, and I'd like to focus our attention on the challenges. Obviously, you're an energy county, and with the energy, all the new energy policies that came out of the last administration, I'm sure that exacerbated an already volatile marketplace. What has that done on employment in the county? Where are you at right now?
This morning they reported that we're at 6.6%, which we feel really good because we were in excess of 9%. And so that's a direct correlation with the previous administration's policy on fossil fuels. And we have drilling activity going on again, and so we're starting to see people go back to work. But again, that drilling is taking place on private ground, on some of the tribal ground, and not on federal land. So we still need to have a lot of help from the federal government in changing those policies.
So we have a new administration that basically said that they are looking at an all-of-the-above way of handling energy, and they want cheap, abundant energy on the United States and think we should rely on ourselves to get it. Has that not trickled down to federal lands and leases?
Not in our area, it hasn't. We've everything's private, pretty much. Everything's private. Part of it's being able to get the regulations, all the APDs, all the information for the federal government. It's a big process, a big process.
So we've had this discussion before that on state land, permits to drill take about 45 days, and they'll take excess of 2 years on federal. If you had a magic wand, or you had the ability to go to the federal government and say, and they were going to follow your policy, would streamlining that process be part of what you would take to them?
Yeah, and I think that the current administration is trying to do that. They've told the local BLM office to jump on them, but they keep an inventory so that they always have a place to go drill. But because of the price of oil and natural gas, we have a discounted price there in the basin, and so that's not too enticing for people to drill. And the process to get through the federal government is a long process, so they can go somewhere else and drill cheaper and faster.
So I guess that's a question that a lot of people don't really consider, is that you might have more activity if the precursors the hoops you have to jump through to get the drill in the ground were less. Would that make it more enticing because the chance of return is better? Or?
Well, it's got to, because the time frame. You know, everyone wants a return on their money, and if you're taking 2 to 5 years to even get a chance to get some of that back, people or companies are very hesitant to take that time.
How is it that the state can be so much quicker than the federal government?
They just haven't got quite as many regulations.
They do a good job here in the state. But when you look at the federal government and you've got to go through a NEPA process and the impacts that that's going to bring, that's where the time frame is. And our local BLM people do a good job. We get along great with them, but they still have their marching orders, and so the process is somewhat stifled and we can't get through it.
So part of this is like air quality issues, and we've heard that the new secretary, the EPA secretary Pruitt, have said, you know, we need to streamline that, we need to cut back some of the regs. Has that translated anything that improves on the ground yet?
There's talk.
There's talk
of the improvement, and
in fact, even today, they're in Vernal meeting, trying to streamline some things with the oil or with the gas or the air quality that's going on there. So
we are still moving a lot of oil out of the basin, and one of the things we talked about in the break was that it is still having an impact and creating a challenge for not only county roads but state roads as well. How much of for people that don't drive US 40 and realize that there's still a lot of trucks going up and down the canyon into the county, what kind of impact does that have?
It's a big impact. What is it for every loaded truck? It's like 7 vehicles?
No, it's like 70 cars for one truck. And a super tanker is like 100 cars for one semi. And right now we're transporting, I think we're right at about 63,000 barrels a day that's coming towards a Wasatch Front for refineries. And so, you know, you put 300 barrels on a truck and figure out how many trucks we have. That's quite an impact. And for a county to try to keep up on the roads, you know, we have to feed into Highway 40, so we have those impacts. And how do we keep up with that? Mineral lease money comes from production off from federal land. If it's not coming off federal land, we don't have the money to keep up with that and build roads.
So that's part of the reason that drilling on federal land becomes important to the county, because it generates those federal lease monies that you're not getting from state lands. Should the state be changing their policy about how they divvy up their royalties?
Well, you know, the state was really wise years ago when they created the Permanent Community Impact Board. They received mineral lease money, so it's just as important to them that it's happening on federal land as it is to the counties. So, yeah, the state is a good partner to keep the activity going out there. And we appreciate that, but again, we don't see anything coming back to the county to help us with the impacts.
So how do you solve the road problem other than you've got to get royalties coming back in?
Turn it to gravel.
No. Well, that you may laugh, but I know at Tooele County at one point, actually, because they had so much problem with their road funding, they actually did take some payment out.
We have done that.
Well, let me give you an instance. This summer, we have a road that goes up into the forest, and it crosses tribal ground in that. And to be able to improve that road, to haul it up there, we were talking over $400,000 just in transportation costs, not the product. We leased a mobile crusher, and we went and crushed it on site, come down the road and did it, and did it for almost a fourth of what that would have cost us just in transportation. So we are trying to be thinking outside of the box.
Interesting. So there are some solutions to the problems.
There's always a solution.
It's sometimes not popular, right? Okay, we're going to take a break with the county seat. When we come back, we will look to the future, get out the crystal ball, and look at what lies ahead for Duchesne County. We'll be right back with the county seat.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
The Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
Hills Mall offers more than just shopping. Bring the whole family and enjoy Sequest Interactive Aquarium to feed the fish and exotic birds, hold live reptiles, and even swim with the stingrays. Or pump up the action and visit Dartside, Utah's premier soft foam dart tag arena. And don't forget the Great Room Escape, where you can challenge your friends to solving mysteries inside themed rooms. So come and experience great fun at the Layton Hills Mall and visit playindavis.com for other great activities.
Welcome back to the county seat. We're talking to Duchesne County about, well, right now, the future of the county. And I kind of wanted to paint for the viewers who aren't really familiar with the county what your vision for 10 years from now looks like. What's happening, what's trending with the county that's going to improve, or you hope is going to improve in the next 10 years?
Well, we'd like to diversify. That's a big word, because how do you diversify from oil and gas? We used to be a farming community. We still have a lot of hobby farmers out there. We did build an event center. It's been operating for almost 2 years now. It has an equestrian arena in it also, and that's seeing some activity and bringing some life to the city of Duchesne. Some of the smaller communities, they're benefiting from what's happening on the Wasatch Front because their proximity of being closer, they're starting to see some of that.
So that bedroom community conversation about businesses, we kind of in our minds think south, you know, like Juab County and going that direction, but it actually is just as easy to have that happening to the east.
We are seeing some effects of that, and I think we'll see a lot more. I really do. It's kind of an area that's not been discovered in some respects.
Yeah, Tabiona, you know, just over Wolf Creek Pass, is between 35 and 45-minute drive to Park City. It's not any harder than from Utah County up to Salt Lake, so we're seeing people now coming out and building homes and using that as a commute route. In the wintertime, it adds another 20 or so minutes to have to go around on Highway 40.
No, you just leave your snowmobile parked at the base and then leave your car over on the other side of Camas. It'll work great.
Or cross-country ski over it. A lot of people like to get their exercise that way. We're working on trails, trying to get some of that in for people to come out and have some good trail rides, bicycle, ATVs, UTVs, backpacks. And there's some good area to go. There's some really beautiful area. Our 9 Mile Canyon area has got so much to see, and people don't, you know, quite a few come in from Bryce.
Everybody thinks 9 Mile Canyon from the Carbon side. They don't really think about the Duchesne side, but it's the same beautiful country regardless of the end you come in.
Yeah, that's the thing about our county. We have the wilderness in the northern part of our county, and you go clear down to 9 Mile south, kind of a desert area, but anything in between. We've got a lot of hunting and fishing, just recreation properties that are available, and people just like to get away from the hustle of Salt Lake or Utah County and relax.
Are there relationships that you would dream would be a little bit better going forward into the future?
Well, you know, we do a lot with Uena County, and we try to keep those ties really good. We have the Ute tribe out there. We definitely could do a better job, and hopefully we can mend some relations there, that going forward we're one community and have the same goal in sight.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, we're fresh out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been really good to learn about Duchesne County. It's been really good to have you along with us. Remember, local government is where your life happens. Be involved, be part of the solution. We'll see you next week on the County Seat. Be sure to check out and respond on our social media. We want to have a dialogue with you. We'll see you next week.